It didn't make it, but there was definitely a werewolf episode idea for season 2 that we didn't get to.
So maybe season 3.
Yeah.
If there's a season 3.
First of all, I'm such a big fan of yours, Joe. I love the show. I love the original films. I grew up with them. It's a real pleasure to talk to you all. I mean, the original 2 films are horror comedy classics, and I feel like there's clearly been a lot of success in finding the tone for both of these seasons. What was the secret to kind of diving into that world and finding that balance again?
I mean, for us, it really was just looking to that of 2 things. One, trying to make sure that the laughs were always genuinely funny, the scares were always genuinely scary, and as long as you had those both, somehow it still worked. But the other thing we looked at as like a counterpart was actually a lot of Chinese stories. The jumping of tones was something that Z very quickly pointed out. It's like, oh, that's true in like all of Stephen Chow's movies or things like that. So that just became another place for us, Joe's stuff, and that of looking to those as kind of our guiding lights and seeing how they would transition through a scene or just trying to capture that magic.
There's also such a mythological blank check, and we've seen that a lot in season 2. How you can expand the world and the world building. What is the next thing on your list if you get to continue the stories further? And also, Joe, is there a way we might sneak in a howling sort of werewolf moment?
I don't think there's ever been a were-gremlin.
Yeah, I will say, I think...
Unexplored area.
Yeah, I think we actually it didn't make it, but there was definitely a werewolf episode idea for season 2 that we didn't get to.
So maybe season 3.
Yeah.
If there's a season 3.
That would be our chance. Otherwise, we know eventually we want to get to New York, and we have ideas of whenever we would get to New York, of what New York in the 30s or 40s might give us. Yeah, right?
You can stand there while you're doing the voices.
Joe, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you. I was excited to hear about your work on the reboot for the forthcoming Little Shop. Sorry, and well, I just wanted to ask if there are any sort of status updates because I'd love to see your take.
The word is stasis, not status. At the moment, like so many things in town, nothing's happening. And we always hope that will change. But it's not the greatest time right now to be getting projects off the ground.
I'll do what I can.
Yeah. He's doing a new version.
The stories that
You're gonna get Alan Green? Oh, it's not? Oh.
Joe and John, it was so nice to see that you're reuniting as on this project in the series. What was it like to collaborate again?
Well, we didn't really collaborate. I wasn't there when he was doing COVID, and he was doing his voiceover by himself, on a video.
And him.
Yeah,
And he was
over
on
Zoom.
video too. So it was a Zoom thing. So my contribution was simply said, you guys should get John Glover.
And that was another thing that I wanted to come to see Joe because I've not seen him for years.
Yeah.
So here's Joe.
People think that people in Hollywood all live next door to each other, but that's not the case.
Yeah.
Very, very seldom when you work with somebody do you really see them again unless you work together again.
Well, I'm excited to see it, so that's wonderful. And then additionally for Brandon, if you could do anything in a follow-up season that you weren't able to do in these 2, if you had a complete blank check, what would you do?
3D.
World War II with Gremlins.
Yeah, because that's the beginning of the mythos, is that the Gremlins in World War II were supposedly sabotaging planes. There's a Bugs Bunny cartoon about it.
Yeah, so I would honestly want to see our Mogwai involved in World War II.
I would see 8 hours of that. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Hey, how's it going? I'm Jeff with the Direct. First, I really love the series. I love the emphasis on Chinese mythology, and then it's also evolving as the characters, move to the States. It's kind of a sky's the limit situation. If you get more seasons, if you get more space to grow the world, where would you like to go next?
What's so fun about the show is that you always get to kind of see things that are new to our characters, but at the same time, evil Mogwai are always chasing them. And so there's kind of the comfort of like, okay, well, this is the situation. There's always going to be the evil Mogwai because they come from Gizmo. At the same time, you're getting to expose those characters to different cultures. I mean, I would love to go to Japan, India,
Space?
Viking Legends. If we can get 10 seasons, I guarantee we'll go to space.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hold you to that. The mythological creatures, I'm a big fan of folklore, and they're always so beautifully rendered. If you had a blank check for what you could include next, is there anything that you really would love to make you haven't been able to do yet?
Oh wow, that's a really hard one. I mean, there's so many. I mean, every culture has their own creation myths, spirits, creatures that kind of populate the world, and what has been really nice is seeing our team's take on that. I'm really excited. In terms of season 1, it was so great to see their take on Chinese creatures and spirits. Season 2, second half, which is coming out April 10th, you'll really get to see their take on what do the creatures, what do the tall tales, what do the fables from the Wild West look like when they're transported into our world. It's beautiful.
Sherri, I loved your work in Kung Fu. I like it on this show as well. How do these two different projects, I mean, they have very different tones. How do you capture that difference? You approach them differently? How does that change what you do?
Honestly, yeah. I do think you have to. I think you have to approach a little bit of animation and live action in different ways. There's a. I think storytelling in the music is a bit more dominant in animation. Maybe maybe not in every single animation, but certainly in something like this, where you don't have not everything is completely conveyed on screen in animation. It's just a different kind of storytelling. But I do think some of the things are remain the same. It's like it's thematic. It's connecting with a character, and it's really trying to take an audience somewhere, and I feel as a music, I feel like it's part of the writing team. It's not part of the sound department. It's part of the writing team. It's very last of the party, but we try to tie it all in together. And I would say that the two shows, something that I've mentioned before about Z and Brennan's direction on this was really being able to lean into the Chinese culture of it, and both instrumentationally and even harmonically and melodically, just kind of being able to lean into those elements of it and not needing to steer away or mute it or sort of round it out. And Kung Fu needed to be that type of thing as well. There's a different kind of formula in that kind of writing. So we do have act outs. You do freeze frame on someone before going to black. So it's like you do have to sort of, kind of use music in a different way to make sure the audience comes back from a commercial.
I love that. And this question kind of applies to both of you equally, because for the original two films, many of us grew up with them. I certainly did. The score is iconic. The humor, the design, every aspect of it is so memorable. How does that change how you both approach kind of finding new ways to make it fresh and adapt a different story in that world?
I think those movies gave us a lot of strength and leverage whenever people were like, well, is this too scary? Is this too weird? Like, Gremlins worked, and this is Gremlins, so we got to just lean into the tone that people really expect from Gremlins. And even something like Elle's really dark monologue in season 1, I think that we feel like, our partners really supported us in terms of, let's do what they did in Gremlins, but let's do it animated and try to keep it as weird as possible.
Well, yeah, I was going to say that it's all in the story. For me, from my point of view, it's all in the story. It's what was written. It's what the actors did. It's all that inspiration. It's always there. So I don't doing something that's fighting that. It would be not only a disservice, but would just an audience would sense that, even if so keeping it fresh and new is like when the stories are fresh and new, which they always are, and then I can do my job.
Love that. And then, so one of the things that makes the originals so interesting is that it's very difficult to land a great horror comedy. Like the tones can be opposite. It's difficult to be brilliant, and I feel like you've really captured a lot of those, the energy of the originals. What's your approach to the comedic moments and trying to find a fresh route, but keep it in the same vein so that fans connect with it in a similar way?
Yeah, I think that one of the things we found in the writers' room was that the comedy actually allows us to do more with the horror because we can really push it to the brink and then kind of let the steam out a little bit with the comedy. There's also something inherently comedic about these are kids who are just up against these insane monsters and spirits, and so the fun slapstick of that was something that we tried to capture, and also throughout it, there's just Gizmo. Gizmo is so cute. There's always one story happening, and Gizmo's going through his other story that's like, at ground level. And that kind of interplay was something that we really loved looking at in the writers' room.